Hello again. I don't know what I'm doing today. Bit of a loose end. I was going to be going to this garden party, and that's not happening, is it? Because of this terrible weather. But I'm prepared for rain if it does rain, but I don't know what's happening. But one thing is a certainty, at least at the moment. That's Kev's picks. So, without further ado, here we are. And well, you know the score by now. And there's the other one. Lovely. Cheers, Kev. Only got a few more of those left now. Soon be at the end, unfortunately. There we go. Yeah, I think I'll just end up having a quick mooch around today, to be fair. No son and granddaughters and grandson and family around today, unfortunately. But I've seen them a lot during the week with all the childminding. And of course I was there on his birthday as well. So I've seen more of him this week than I have probably during any other week during the year. As you might imagine, I've got a few old pictures in my back pocket. So we'll still look at doing a couple of those and then wander up. And I'll try and make some better plans coming up for tomorrow or the next day. So that's the gist of it. Nothing all that special planned today, but try to work something out for the following week. Train, can hear it, can't see it. Nightmare. There's the blue anchor. And of course the docks leading to Polly Steps. But I'm not going to go up there today. As I say, if it does suddenly pour down from the sky, don't want to be all the way up there exposed. Save it for another day. Quite a few spaces in the car park by the look of things. Normally it's jam-packed. We'll just poke our nose down on the fish quay. There's the boat that's no longer Alan's boat. And just over there on the other quay is the location of our next photo, or our first photo. Quite a bit of the salty visible today in the centre there. Quite raised up by the look of things. And some ship activity in the docks. Well, we've made it to the location of photo number one, as the liquid sunshine just pays a brief appearance. Anyway, here we go. This is one of Jeffrey Tarrin's ones that he posted publicly on Facebook, and again from the 30s, I believe. You'll notice in the background there how Leander Court, etc. hasn't been built. It's the Morgan Giles shipyard, and well, obviously the Ness is still very much in a very similar position, but a lot less visible these days. Here it is now. What a lovely picture. What a lovely picture. Of course, we'll have a little pan along the Backbeach cottages, Backbeach houses, which feature heavily in that book I'm reading, set in Teignmouth. He's staying in one of those, and it quite clearly says about the road behind it, and how he has to reverse out and reverse to the left with his back towards the docks to drive forwards onto the little main street, etc, etc. It's quite interesting. Quite an interesting book so far, to be fair. Pam's old cottage. There it is. Hello, Pam. Let's carry on round. And I'm just noticing, although I probably won't catch it, that's the very tail end. Let me zoom in. Of the lifeboat coming back in. Quite lovely down here this morning, on this Sunday morning. Nice and relaxing. Remember the other day I said to you I'd done some stuff on the Ivy House back in the day, and I'd have to look up the photos. Well, it seems little point really in doing it again per se. So what I'm going to do is run you a clip from that video where I walked up here, and I'll put the date it was filmed up the top. Here we go. Going to take a little look at where the Ivy House was. Now, many of you will remember the Ivy House. It was a very, very well-known Teignmouth location. It was a pub, first and foremost, on the ground floor. Above it they had some rooms, which was the hotel part of it. And underneath, in the cellars, they used to have a club. Now it went through various different iterations of names, but I can't remember them all, but I know at one point it was called Barbarella's. Yeah, and I went there a few times to the club downstairs, but as you know, I'm not really a pub person. And I did have a big falling out actually with the owner when I was about 16. I went in, I wasn't drinking, I was playing pool. One of the balls came off the table, total genuine accident. And it just cracked a bit of glass in the fire door. And he come round the corner, wanted me to buy a whole new door for him, to give him 500 something pounds. I said, well, that's not happening. You know, just tried it on really. But anyway, it used to be there. So I told him, no, his insurance can pay for it. And I never went back in there. But it used to be there, okay? So what I'll do now is I'll come across here, hopefully without getting knocked down. Well, I'll go and light up the shot instead. It used to be here. That corner there, that doorway was where you went down into the club. And around that side was a car park, and the little pool room at the side was about there. Anyway, here's a picture of it back in the day. So there we go, that was the Ivy House, especially for Simon, who asked me if I had any pictures of it. Could I take one? So I said yes, I'll do one today. All requests are taken like that if I got the pictures, by the way. And all good. And I've also got a press clipping with some information about when it was knocked down or being sold off or whatever it was. Anyway, you can pause it. Here you go. And that press photo would have been taken from about here, showing the entrance at the side and the little car park at the front as it used to be. The Ivy House, Ivy Lane, Teignmouth. So there we are. That's a bit of a blast from the past, isn't it? I vaguely remember, I think anyway, that I was stood around here when that clip finished. If it's not exact, it's not exact, I'm afraid. But as I say, I dug that out the other night and I haven't really looked at it since. But as I say, I wasn't planning to be doing this today. However, it's a nice simple way to show the old pictures that I've done before without doing them again, so to speak, because I've done them once and people have seen them. Well, fair enough. If you haven't seen them, that's even better. But it saves me digging them out and trying to do it all again. There we go, ambulance is on the den. Lots of people around it, so I don't think it stops for an emergency or anything. Never know though. We'll go and investigate. But before we visit the air ambulance, got to do a 1960s picture of the Royal Hotel, which is behind me at the moment. So let me get into position. Here we go, not exactly, but near enough. There we are, 1960s. Lovely. Not sure if there's a story behind that photo really, but that's what I got for you. Smashing. Let's go and see this air ambulance. Of course there is. Sequence I shot down at Polly Steps at one point with the air ambulance when they had stopped and they were doing something down there, but I couldn't see inside then. And this looks like it's a much bigger one than the one I saw at Polly Steps, in fairness. Much bigger. Let's go around the other side. Yes, this is definitely a bigger one than the one that was at Polly Steps. Much bigger. But it's good to see that despite the size of the air ambulance, they're still promoting my channel on the front there. And that's what I call a camera. I'll get some good shots, wouldn't it? Smashing. Shame they're not offering trips. 50p, quick spin round a den. Lovely. We'd have a go in that. Bowls is still taking place there. So it hasn't rained them off. I did actually pop down briefly yesterday afternoon, try and get Mum a milkshake. She fancied one. It was absolutely heaving here. You couldn't have fit another person in the shop. There was about 10 people queuing up waiting, and then outside there's about 5 more waiting to get in outside. So she had a lovely day yesterday. Needless to say, I didn't wait and get the milkshake, but never mind. There's all the flavours they do, and any of those can be made into a milkshake. Smashing. Quite the juxtaposition, isn't it? Air ambulance and the bowls. Only in Teignmouth. Lovely. Now up ahead we have coasters. It's not always been coasters, of course. It was at one point Yellen's Bakery, and it was Yellen's at this end, if I remember correctly, and at the other end was the Three Cooks. It's like a Yellen's branded snack place. Anyway, here's a picture when it was Yellen's. Lovely. Of course, all the Pride stores from yesterday no longer here. Much more empty, quiet triangle. But the rainbow flag is still flying from the flagpole. There we go, there's the Pride stage. Someone down there with an umbrella already. Can't wait for it to start. Smashing. Right, well, I don't want to go home just yet, but I don't want to walk all the way up to Rufus because I've got no food on me, so that would be a shame. Actually, this is a sort of rare day where I might have logically gone in for a breakfast somewhere. Had a fry up just randomly, but also got Nick's dinner later, so I don't want to spoil that, do I? Well, it's certainly proved to be anticlimactic when it comes to the weather, hasn't it? I've got my raincoat on, haven't worn my glasses, I've got my hat in my pocket, absolutely expecting thunderstorms, torrential downpour, gale force winds, the whole shebang. But nope, next to nothing. They could have had the party, I'm sure they could have had it. At least we got one train, eh? At least we got one train. Lido bunny. There we go. Our conker tree. Well, there we go. I'm going to call it a day now. Hopefully there's something I've managed to put in there that you found of interest today. Bit of a mismatch, but there we are. And I'll try and get myself sorted out for the week ahead. Lovely. Take care. Thanks for watching. Bye.